Alright, this quick video is going to show what I do to create a image for Viva Midland or Viva Lubbock or any of the other Facebook sites that we have. There are some very specific things that have to be done in order for in order for the image to be compliant with Facebook. So I'm going to step you through that. Um, this website that I am currently on that I'm showing you, it's called Pixlr.com, Pixlr.com. I'll send you a link to it. Basically, once you go to the website, it's an online editor, online graphic editor, so no problem there. It's free. You just go there, and this is what you see. And so the first thing that we're going to do to get started to create a image is we're going to go to create new image, and then it's going to want to know what size the image is going to be. For Facebook, for what we do, the way we do it, we want to go 551 width, and our height needs to be 445. The preset and name, none of that matters. Just these are the two important numbers. So width is 551, and then the height is 445. You'll want to write those numbers down so that you can go back and reference those anytime you create a new image. Okay, so basically we start out with a white canvas, and this website is a whole lot like um, Photoshop and some of the other programs that you use to edit, but it's free, it's online, it's easy to use, and it's pretty quick actually. Okay, so now that I've got my blank canvas in the right size, I can see down here it's 851 by 445 pixels. The first thing I'm going to look for is an image that I can use to to highlight what I'm going to be talking about, whatever event that is. So if it's food related, it might be food. What we're going to do today is I'm going to show you a 4th of July, just a quick dirty 4th of July image. So what I did was I went out on the internet and I found just a real simple, clean 4th of July picture with some fireworks and things like that, American flag, all that already on it. But it has no text on it, and that's the first step, is to make sure that whatever base image you're working from has absolutely no text on it. Some other things that you want to keep out of there is alcohol, because if you put alcohol in the picture, Facebook requires you to do certain things to limit the amount of people that can see it. So uh, bottom line, no wording, and no alcohol or anything else that could, like smoking, things like that. Body parts, they say you're not supposed to focus in on boobs or butt or anything like that. But for the most part, if you just get you a nice clean image of what you're trying to convey that does not have any wording and isn't controversial, you'll be good. Okay, so here we go. First thing I'm going to do after I've created my template or my working canvas is I'm going to go find me an image, I'm going to download it, and I've already done that. So I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to do Open Image, and this is the image that I'm going to use, is this 4th of July JPEG. So I'm going to open it up, and you'll notice that it opens that picture up, and we can use it as a separate image. So over here, that's my working image. This is where I've started, this is what I'm starting from. This picture right here. So what I have to do is I have to get this picture over onto this canvas over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it, okay, and then I'm going to do a Control C, so Control A, which will select everything in this window. You see the little dancing ants all the way around. It's selecting everything in that particular edit window. Then I'm going to use Control C on my keyboard to copy it. I'm going to go back over to the image that I'm working on, and I'm going to do a Control V to paste it. So there you go. We've got the image that we need over here. I can go ahead and go back to my image that I downloaded, and I can close it, and I do not want to save it. Okay, so now on my working image, Obviously it's not of the right shape or not of the right size. Now sometimes what you'll want to do, we'll want to make sure that we click on the right layer. So we're going to make sure that we're on our image layer. So this is the background. This is the image that we're working on. We're going to do a, let's see here, I believe it's edit free transform, or you can do Control T. So what you'll notice is it's got the handlebars all the way around the big old image that I just dropped on there. So what we'll do is we'll just start dragging until we've got it kind of the right size of what we want. Now some images you can get away with stretching and there won't be any problem. Some of images will look funny if you stretch them. In that case you'll have to make them bigger. So if we wanted to kind of keep this the same size as it was, we would do something like that. But we can stretch and manipulate this image, and it doesn't hurt anything. Okay, so now that I've got the background or the main image where I want it, I'm just going to click over here on background. It's going to ask me if I want to apply the changes. I want to do that. And so now we're good to go. So our first layer, which has our main graphical element in it, and you can put multiple pictures in there, but usually what I do is just pick one good picture. Okay, so we've got the right size, we've got our focus image, the one that's going to catch everybody's attention. Now there's a couple of other things that we have to do to it for it to be compliant with Facebook and for it to be compliant with what we do with Viva Midland or Viva Lovick or Viva whatever else that we do. So I'm going to load some images that I'll email to you, but I'm going to load them up here. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to do File, I'm going to do Open Images, and you'll see that I have what's called a FB grid, which is my Facebook grid. I'll talk about that in a minute. Then I'm going to hold the Control key down. I'm also going to click on this click here button because I'm going to have that element on there. And of course we're going to have everything that we do in Viva is going to have our Texas Ford logo on it. Okay, so I'm going to open those files. Now I'm just going to kind of rearrange them here so that you can see what I'm doing. So I'm putting them off to the side so that I can use them in just a minute. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my working ad or post photo, whatever you want to call it. We'll just call it an ad for right now. It's the 4th of July one that we're working on. You'll notice that I am on the main image layer. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag and drop, or I'm not going to drag and drop because you can't do that here, but I'm going to copy these other elements onto this particular working image. And so the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to start with my Ford logo. I'm going to go over here to it, and I'm just going to click on it, and then I'm going to hold down the Control key, A, it's going to select everything, dancing ants around the whole thing. Then I'm going to do Control C to copy it. Then I'm going to go back to my working image, and I'm going to click on my working image, make sure I'm here, make sure that I'm on top of the layer that the background layer. Then I'm going to do Control V, and that's going to put my Texas Ford logo over here. Now I want to make sure that I'm clicked on this move tool, because at that point I'm going to drag the logo over to the bottom left or top left. I'm going to drag it somewhere where it's going to be out of the way. This is how we tag our pictures, our stuff that we put on Facebook, and this is the money maker right here, so we have to have that on there. Okay, so I'm just going to repeat the process for my click here button. So again, I'm going to go to the little window, the image. I'm going to do a Control A to select everything. I'm going to do a Control C to copy it. I'm going to go back to my working image. I'm going to Control V, and again make sure that I'm on the proper tool, the move tool. I'm just going to move it off to the side here for a second. Now you'll notice over on when you're working on your main image here, the ad that you're working on, you'll notice that you have layers. That's what's good about this particular program, is you have layers. Now if something gets out of whack and you paste something over here and it shows up underneath this layer, like for instance, if layer 2 was actually underneath layer 1, whatever is on top is what's going to show. So it's not going to show this layer because it's underneath this big one. So what we want to do is just get our layers in the right order here so that we can see it. So that basically looks like what we want. We want a basic image that's going to catch the user's eye. We want the tag so we can get paid, and we want the action button so we know what to do. Now the last thing we're going to do is we're going to jump over here to our Facebook grid, and this is going to be an important step. So again, we want to get this image onto our working image. So we're going to do a Control A to select everything. You look for the dancing ants all the way around. Then we're going to Control C to copy it. We're going to go back to our image. Sorry about that. Go back to our working image, and what you can do is just make sure you're on the top layer. Okay, going back to the image here, and we're going to Control V. And again, if this showed up down here where you can't see it or whatever, or things are above it or whatnot, then just go and drag those. Okay, so at this point what we have is we have our focus image, the thing that's going to catch the people's attention. We have our logo, we have our action button, and we have our grid that I'm going to explain about in just a minute. So at this point I can close all these other images. It's going to say, do you want to close it? Do you want to save it? No. Close. Do I want to save it? No. Go back to our Facebook grid, close it. You want to save it? No. Okay, so we're doing pretty good now. At this point, what we need to do is we want to make sure that we're in compliance with Facebook's text guidelines. And what the text guidelines say is that no logo or text can be more than 20% of the overall image that we're going to put on Facebook. This is for advertising purposes. If we're just going to put it as something information or something like that, we're not going to push it. We're not going to put money behind it and use their advertising engine. Then all this is irrelevant. But if we're going to put money behind it and we want it to go out to tens of thousands of people, then we have to follow a guideline. So how do they come up with that? Well, this grid is their grid, and you'll notice that there's 5 boxes across and 5 boxes down. So it's a 5 by 5 grid, and just simple math is that if you can count up 5 grids that have text or logo in them, then you're good. If you count 6, then you're not good. Okay, so let me give you an example. Let's say we have it looking like this right here. Okay, so if I start counting boxes, I count that logo. I'm counting up boxes that have logos and text in them. So I start counting out 1, 2, 3, 4. Over here I got 5, 6. Okay, so that will not work at all. It won't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take to fix this, I'm going to take they'll reject it if you send it in like this. So I'm going to take my Ford logo and I'm going to kind of scoot it off to the side. Now you'll notice that there's a little bit over here and there's a little bit over here. As long as it's not too bad, they won't count these boxes. So now let's count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes filled up with text and logo. So this image will comply with what we do with Facebook and how we do it. Let me give you another example. If you take a look at this and you say, okay, so I know that right now I have 4 boxes, 1, 2, 3, 4, but I don't like the location of this click here. I kind of want it. Oops, sorry, I was on the wrong layer. So I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna click on my button layer. I don't like this here. I want it somewhere up here, or I want it up here, or something like that. You can move it anywhere, but what you need to understand is that when they go to look at this photo, they're literally going to be clicking on boxes saying where the text is. So even though technically this complies with the 20% rule, it doesn't meet the regulation for how they do it. So they're going to be clicking on boxes, and if they did that, they would go one, there's some C here, there's some L here, and there's some text over here. So they would literally go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it wouldn't be in compliance. So what you need to do is arrange everything so that you're nice and neat in boxes. Um, so somewhere about right here would probably be okay. So let's just check it again, make sure that we comply. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got our text and our logos confined to 4 boxes instead of 5, so we're good. We could go over here and do something like this if we wanted to, but it just looks better right here. Okay, so now we have a compliant layout. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to our grid layer, which is this top layer, and we're going to hide it. And the way we do that is just uncheck it here. All right, and so we have our final product. We have our image that's going to catch the people's eye. We have our logo so we can get paid. We have our action item so that we can tell the user what we want them to do. And we are in compliance. Just one more time, check my grid. Good. Turn my grid back off, and we are ready to save. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here, I'm going to do File. I'm going to save this. Format, you want to do JPEG, good for most photos. Quality, leave it at 80 is fine. The name doesn't really matter. You're going to your computer. So we're going to click OK, and it is going to take us to our computer where we want to save it. And so what I'm going to call this is, I'm going to call this 4th of July Viva Ad. And I'm going to save it. And that is how we have been doing the ads for Viva Midland and Viva Lubbock and anything else really, Rogersford, things like that, to stay in compliance with Facebook's rules. As you can see, this is a very simple program. It's free, it's online. All you have to do is go to the link that I'm going to send you along with the images that I sent you, and from here you should be able to put together a decent ad for either of these, and we can get paid for it. Okay, so the one thing that I want to remind you of is the size when you start out. Just remember that you're doing a 851 by 445 pixel image, and don't forget about your grid and turning it on and off to make sure that everything's in compliance. And remember, 5 grids or 5 boxes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, we're in compliance. We're good to go. Alrighty, thanks a lot.